Right, here is that conclusion to the Circus of Crime two-parter. Incredible Hulk 471 by Joe Kelly and Ed Ginsters. The Incredible Hulk unleashed by the murderous clown. And the city trembles. The cover actually recaps the issue for me. I don't know what more I could possibly add. We have the fold-out advert for the Disney Channel, which means the recap is relegated to a single page. And due to the space limitations, there's severe problems with providing us with key information, like that Marla and Dickie Jones are currently separated, or the ongoing story about Jennifer Connelly or Liv Tyler's death. Sad to see these recap pages brought so low before their removal. Our story is presented as Krusty the Clown from the Circus of Crime telling us about his big score. There's also the added conflict between Krusty and Atmaster. That's not really mentioned on the recap page either. Atmaster has sent Hulk to Vegas to screw over his past group, which are now being led by Krusty. It is a really good Circus of Crime story, actually. In Vegas, they are taking bets on Hulk and Hulk's rampage. How much of the city Hulk will destroy? Will Hulk evade the United States Army? Will Hulk defeat his captors, the Circus of Crime? Things like that. There is a tiny little bit of plot that isn't really set up or told to us clearly enough. Maybe it is the limit of the recap page again. But it's Krusty the Clown. This is Krusty's plan. He has leaked the news that they have Hulk captive. And you'll see why shortly. One thing I do want to talk about is how much of a bitch the new character comes across in this. And I'm not sure it was ever meant to be the case. We have Marla here. Lovely, lovely Marla. We like Marla. And she is obviously making the new girl look worse simply by proximity. But the other woman is a scientist who is working with the army to track down David Banner. She showed up in the first issue of this run. Catherine Spar is her name. I imagine if this run had lasted longer, there would be far more to the character than what we got. In the end, after 7 issues, the last 3 of which are supremely truncated, she is done with and we never see her again. We never get much of a character or character arc for her, but what we do have in this story is a series of events that don't make her look too good. First, she is withholding important information she knows from Marla, namely that Marla's husband, Dickie Jones, went into a seizure of some kind and he was rushed away by the Avengers for medical treatment. She doesn't tell her this at any point, and it's clear she's not telling her this because it would derail using her to get to David Banner. And then there is this bit. This bit is sad too. David Banner, utterly defeated, He is crying about the death of his wife and how he just wants to be left alone to die. But Catherine injects him with adrenaline with the intention that he transforms into Hulk and busts loose. Meanwhile, we learn Krusty's real plan. He is betting against himself. He is betting large on Hulk defeating the Circus of Crime and on Hulk destroying parts of Vegas. Krusty was one of the original Circus of Crime members. He was in their first appearance in Incredible Hulk issue 3. He's been with them throughout the years. In Ghost Driver, he became a supporting character. We found out he was the son of the clown that performed with the circus that Ghost Driver travels with. It's not always Christopher Clairvoyant who gives us this small universe. After this, Joe Kelly will make him a solo villain, a John Wayne Gacy, a killer clown. I know I mentioned this in the first part as well, but then he gets transformed into a gamma mutate and he doesn't appear again, I don't think. So Joe Kelly, after that, he just made a new Krusty the Clown. We now have the Circus of Crime, and we are gearing up for round 2 with Hulk. To remind you, Hulk was defeated by the Circus of Crime in part 1. That won't be happening a second time. The reverse happens with Hulk coming close to one-shotting most of the circus. Interestingly, we don't get him and Princess Pythagoras. It was a Monty Python that fell Hulk last time, but we lose Princess Pythagoras in the mix. No rematch there. Instead, Krusty leads Hulk on a merry chase around Vegas, taking him to specific areas to destroy so that he makes money on his bets. Fun idea, great little scheme. And we have got this bit where Krusty is facing down Hulk, and he has got his gun pointed at Hulk's head. And Krusty knows he should call it quits and not push his luck, but he thinks with his gun pressed up against Hulk's head, there's a good chance he could actually hurt Hulk. And so Krusty, he pulls the trigger only for his luck to turn because he is out of bullets. And then Hulk smashes him. Over here we've got our assortment of comics that this was released alongside. Starting with the things I've got, there's that Generation Next annual, the Tomb of a Dracula crossover. I reviewed that, and I think we have got a loop here. I think it was that annual which reminded me of this Hulk run and that I should review it. Excellent Force 83, New Mutie versus New God. Second issue with artwork by the great Sam Chang. Alan Watson, issue 2 of 4. I need to correct myself. I would assume it was part 1 of this Hulk story, but I overlooked issue 1 of this miniseries when I saw that listed on one of these. I thought it was another series. I thought it was the Lewis Simons one with the annoying robot from New Muties. But I have this. I have this whole miniseries. Lyle Lovett writes and arts. I think that's it for what I have. There is some other stuff I might get soon. Swingers, the first issue. This was a Spider-Man spin-off. Moreover, it was a Vague Age of Spider-Man spin-off, starring a team of new heroes using the identities used by Spider-Man during the Vague Age of Spider-Man, the Identity Crisis story arc. There's a Tomb of a Dracula miniseries I've never heard of. So I'm kind of intrigued by that because it might be okay. Excellent Men Liberators, a miniseries. I've considered it before. Vague Age of Excellent Men, innit? It's by the same writer as Swingers and the Generation Next annual. And then later, the Mike Tyson solo ongoing. Excellent Men Limitless, issue 21, as an Extra Factor reunion. That's maybe exciting to me. Elsewhere, we have Barry Amna's final issue on Generation Next. His run wasn't very well received, and it gave us some FD retcons, but the run that follows is a favourite of mine. There's a series called The Supernaturals. I would always see it advertised or listed on websites whenever I was looking up a character. There would be in that, The Supernaturals. Felicity, she's in it. I then learned it wasn't canon and lost all my interest. But if I am ever going to look at it, it will be after being talked into it and convinced to do so by you lot. We also have a Mc2 comic, J2 issue 3. He fights Hulk. Juggernaut's son fights Hulk. A loose crossover with an issue of A Next, if I recall. Unhumans issue 2. The sophomore issue of a quite frankly overrated miniseries that some people think is brilliant. We have got the mandatory Dead Pills issue that I haven't read, issue 23. Wolfman 132. I've saved it for dead last. Avengers 11 by Kurt Busey. Ate that one, but to be fair, I ate all of his comics. We are at the end of this now. Hulk, he escapes before the army arrives. And then, in the desert, we have our lead-in to what would be Joe Kelly's final story on the series. I would imagine it was meant to be a bit longer or a bit different, but we end up having to rush through it while also providing some resolution to the other subplot setup. It's a shame. This run started fantastic and we lose it for a rubbish Jason Byrne relaunch. Letters are a bit less cuntish this time. A lot of people saying they were going to stop getting the book because David Peter left. But then they got the first issue by Joe Kelly and they changed their minds because it was good. They won't be saying the same thing about Jason Byrne. I review this knowing that my viewership adore the Circus of Crime, so I recommend this two-parter. I don't like these villains, typically, but this is not only their best story, it's one where I don't even mind them. I think it's a good story. These 7 issues by Joe Kelly deserve more love than they have ever gotten. Since there is 7 issues, I'll give them that many thumbs up.